you're trying to prove something to your pacers that you are tough and that you can do this. And at that aid station at like mile 75, I was able to move my way forward, and I realized how weak I was when I wasn't like challenging myself or doing these things. But it's not until like you build that consistency is when you're finally like, okay, I got this.
We have Justin Alpaugh on. So Justin is someone that I've always looked up to since I was a little kid. Dating back to what, like 2009 or something like that. So, and I look up to your brother-in-law.
Yeah.
And I'm very fascinated with what you both are doing right now. So can you kind of explain to whoever's listening what you do for, for work and, your life?
Yeah, absolutely. So, right now, Orkin Pest Control. So I started in 2016 as a service specialist. So once I did that, I was there for a couple of years. I got promoted to sales, and then from sales, I was a service manager, and then I just recently got to a sales manager position.
Okay, nice, man.
So that's kind of the work side of things. When it comes to what we do for hobbies, Shane, my brother-in-law, you know him. He got me back in 2019 really interested into running.
So why in the hell do you guys like to run?
So that's a common question that I get asked all the time, like why?
Yeah.
And I don't want, it's hard to explain why, because, I can give the generic answer of, I like to challenge myself. I like to push myself. I want to be like David Goggins or be like Cameron Haynes, but that stuff's all cool. But in the long run, it's more about, what it does for me personally and for my family. So, as like, if I don't go running, then I'm having a bad day. I'm a bad husband. I'm a bad father.
Yeah.
I'm not performing at work.
Yeah.
And so when I do run, even if it's just simply just like a 2-mile run around the block, I just feel a lot better, emotionally and physically. And I'm able to, do the things at home and also at work.
I feel like just running and like pushing yourself, like it pushes you to be not only like physically better, but mentally better, which is like the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
So you said something like when you're running, you're a better husband, better father, better, person at work, right? So what does your day-to-day, schedule look like?
Yeah.
On a weekly basis? What does that look like?
Well, to set the stage too, I mean, a lot of people think just because I, train for 100-mile runs or, all these different distances that I put in a lot of time running. I don't. Like, there's a lot of people out there that run 100 to 150-mile weeks that I know personally.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, for me, I mean, at most, like, I have an app on my phone. If I was to check it, it would say anywhere from like 40 to 60 miles a week is all I run.
But I still think that's a huge milestone.
Yeah, right. For someone that, that might not run at all, they could think that's a lot. But, for people who have done running in high school or, even college, they're putting in 100-mile weeks training for just a 3-mile run. Yeah. And so I put in, quality work, but it's not as much as what people think.
Okay.
But to answer your question about, the day-to-day, it just all kind of depends on, what Sarah's schedule, my wife, what her schedule looks like, and then what Ivy's schedule, my daughter, looks like, and then I kind of work around that. And so usually that consists of, both of us going to work. We'll drop Ivy off at her mom's place. She'll watch her just for a few hours. Sarah comes home, and then I'll go for a run, and then in the afternoon after I'm done with work, and then come home and then spend the time with Ivy.
So it seems like you have a pretty good work-life balance, right?
Yeah.
So you're working, you're running, you're spending time with your family, your kid, your wife. One thing that I love to see, and if you guys don't follow Justin, we'll put his handle on his Instagram handle at the end of the video. But one thing that I love to see, and maybe it's just like a weekend thing that I noticed, but you usually have Ivy out there running.
Yeah.
Which is awesome because she's like, like 2 years old or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's so cool, because I think it's important to not only like have a hobby, but I think it's important to like have a hobby which you can also have your family be a part of,
like incorporate them.
Yeah.
And that's how I incorporate them, and where I can kind of balance that family time and that running time is because, during the week is when so most of my running is done on the weekends.
Okay.
So that's where I get most of those, 40 to 60 miles. Like during the week, I get probably anywhere from 10 to 20 miles in the week. And then there's days where I have a day off, and on those day off, I'll take Sarah and Ivy out to the mountains, and we'll go hiking and just kind of let her just get some fresh air and down in the dirt. And but any little chance that we get, on nice days, we'll go out.
Nice. One thing I want to ask you too, so how many ultra marathons have you done?
So I started back in 2019. I started off with 50K, and then in 2020 I jumped immediately to 100K.
Hold up, time out.
Yeah.
you said a 50K at 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
2019.
Okay.
So a 50K, for those who don't know.
Yes, please explain this to us, because I don't know anything about this stuff.
So a 50K, that's usually a term that's used in the ultra world or trail running world.
Okay.
And that's 32 miles.
Okay.
And then so it starts off with, I guess, to backtrack, everyone runs a marathon. Everyone knows about the marathon.
Yeah.
The 26.2 miles. And then an ultra is considered anything over 26.2 miles.
Okay.
And so usually it's a 50K distance.
Okay.
And then you start there. And then when people start to get really involved in the 50K distance, they usually jump up to like a 50 miler.
Okay.
And then from a 50 miler, you go up to 100K.
Okay.
Which 100K is 62 miles.
Okay.
And then from 100K, you work your way up to a 100-mile distance.
Okay.
And so in 2019, I started with the 50K. Okay. That was out in Boise. And
so that's the 32 miler, right? Okay.
And then in 2020, that's when COVID happened. So there was a lot of races canceled. There was only one race that was open around locally, and that was it was called the Beaverhead 100K.
And where's that located?
In Salmon, Idaho.
Oh, okay, nice.
Rugged race. So I did that in 2020, and then in 2021, some of the other races were opening up.
Okay.
And I did a race out in Chalice.
Okay.
That was 108K. So instead of 62, it was 69 miles.
Okay.
And then in 2022, I did like a couple 50Ks, 121 miler, and then that's when I did my first 100-mile race in 2022.
So you've done, I'd say, at least 8 to 10 total ultras?
Uh-huh.
So what is the preparation like leading up to these ultra marathons?
So I have a coach, so I pay him monthly.
Okay.
He's actually from here. He's a sponsored runner.
Oh, cool.
His name's pretty popular here in the running community.
Okay.
But anyways, he gives me a schedule each week. So depending on what I'm training for, then that's how we base off of how I lead up to that event. So I have a race coming up March 29th. It's a 100-miler in Antelope Island, Utah.
Okay.
And so it's to give you an idea of the elevation and just how the course is. It's going to be, some of it's on pavement, some of it is on nice groomed trails, not very steep, about 8,000 total feet of elevation change. So that's pretty mild for a 100-mile distance.
Okay.
So based off of that, my coach is preparing me to do like longer but quicker runs, because that course isn't going to be, there's not going to be a ton of hiking just due to the elevation.
Okay. So I guess that's another question that kind of goes into preparation. How do you keep pace when you're running an ultra race? Because when I'm running, 5 miles, or because I ride my bike, so if I do like 10 miles or 15, I kind of get my head right.
Yeah.
So like, how do you do that? Because you're doing insane amount more than I'm doing. How do you keep a pace?
Well, yeah, you're doing a lot of hiking in the longer distances. But it's just more, it's like after 35 miles, I think almost everybody's toast. And so it's just a mental game at that point. So you're just thinking about, how am I going to move, this foot in front of this foot, and just keep going and keep going and keep going. And then there's a bunch of highs, there's a bunch of lows. Yeah. Like it's a hard experience to actually, describe and discuss if you haven't done it, just because everyone has such a different experience.
I think that's like a true test just in life in general, right? just being able to be mentally tough enough to just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because
you
could be at the very bottom of the barrel and you could still come out on top, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So has there been any examples of any time in these races where you've like been behind, a certain amount of or groups or people and you came, past them or surpassed them?
Yeah. Yeah, and Shane could tell you this story too, but you can have pacers during like the 100-mile distance, and a pacer is someone who like takes you for a certain amount of distance during the race.
Okay.
So usually a race will allow you around like to have a pacer around mile 50 to 60-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So I had Shane join me for like 25 miles, and I'm going to call it a low point, and it was to the point to where it was the flattest part of the course. And I was like, I have to walk because this is so steep. And because I was just done and over with it. And Shane's like, this is not flat. Like, I'm about to leave you if you don't start running. But this is, 60 to 70 miles.
Yeah. So how many hours in is that, do you think?
That at that point, that had been like 18 hours. Yeah. But
that's insane.
But I brought that up because to answer your question about how I push forward through that. I got another pacer, another friend of mine who picked me up from like mile 75 to the finish. And it's a new energy. And it's just like, you're trying to prove something to your pacers that you are tough and that you can do this. And, I had some caffeine and I ate a bunch of food at that aid station at like mile 75. And then it just made me more refreshed. And then I was able to move my way forward, and I passed like a handful of people during that time.
Wow. So
it's just, it all depends. Like, you just got to be taking care of your body there. And then, there's different, it's just like during a 100-mile race too, when that sun comes up, that's just like a whole new experience too.
I can't even fathom or even begin to think about what it would feel like to run that long.
Yeah.
Like,
it's hard.
I bet it is hard, but I bet it makes everything in life so much easier.
It does. Like, before, it took me a while to start consistently running. And I realized how weak I was when I wasn't like challenging myself or doing these things. And so when finally, like, I made the decision, I had the influence from Shane and, other, influences online, looking like, these guys make it seem easy, they can do it, I can do it. But it's not until like you build that consistency is when you're finally like, okay, I got this.
Yeah. So one thing that you guys may have just heard is he said consistency. You got to have consistency in everything in life if you want to be good at it,
right? Be
successful at it. You have to work hard and have consistency. So I loved that aspect, or that what you just said, because that's huge.
Yeah, the consistency is, like you said, in everything, with jobs, with family, with, like, my diet sucks, but it's because I'm not consistent in what I eat. And it's something that I don't really care about, or it's something that, I do care about it, but it's just not like, something that I strive to do every single day, to eat clean.
Yeah.
But I know that if I was consistent, that I probably could.
Yeah. So you don't have to like have a strict diet then with running?
No, everyone's got their fads that they want to do when it comes to running and their diets. There's people who are carnivore, vegans. They say one thing works and one thing other. People eat pizza and nachos and drink beer while at these races, and
what?
Yeah, and they're fine. So I think the most important thing is just listening to your body.
Yeah,
just like what it needs.
Makes everybody's body so different.
Yeah.
Dang. You said that you run like 20 to 30 miles a week, right?
More, yeah, like during
the week, like Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
So when are you taking these runs?
What do you mean? Sorry.
Like what time of day?
Oh yeah. See, I'm blessed with a good job. I think in order to do something like this too, you got to have a supportive, system around you with your work, and then also your family. But with my job, it's nice because I do a lot of it at home.
Okay.
And so as long as I can, like I said, figure out what Sarah's doing, what Ivy schedule's like, then I can plan that. But on average, I would say it's probably around like 3 o'clock in the afternoon every day.
Okay.
And then at most I'm gone. At most probably an hour and a half.
So usually during the week, do you drive up to the mountains to go run, or you just run out your front door, run around the neighborhood?
Yeah. I mean, it all depends on what the weather's like. So, I mean, wintertime, it's mainly just right out the front door.
Okay.
We have some nice paid paths here in town that I'll go to. Sometimes the hillier areas in town as well. Try to get some elevation change in there. Summer months, I try to hit the trails every day.
Yeah. You don't run on a treadmill then, right?
This year I haven't. No. Okay. No, I'd have to show you some videos I have of some of the crazy storms I ran in this year.
I've seen a couple. I think it was around, I don't know if it was around Christmas time. Yeah. I feel like it was like around the Christmas time. I saw in your story, like you running, and I saw you had tagged someone, and like I clicked on that tag, and I think they live in like Marsh Valley or something.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know which guy that is, but he's like a personal finance guy.
I don't know. I can't remember. I'm sure I have it somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know. But like I saw like he was running in like this crazy weather. I'm like, what the hell are these guys doing?
Yeah, for me, the treadmills, I mean, nothing against the treadmill. There's gain a lot of fitness on it, actually. For me, I think it's harder for me. So it's actually a mental challenge for me to do at any time that I want to run on the treadmill. But I feel like it's easier personally to just get outside and run.
Yeah, it's probably like just good for you just to get out and run too, just see like the sunlight and just fresh air and like that, right?
Yeah, super important.
So tell us a little bit about like your job, right? So you started with the company in what year was that?
In 2016.
So what were you doing your first year with the company?
So they call them technicians, so pest control technicians. We like to use the word service specialist. Okay. Because they are specialists and they are trained properly to do the work. I mean, a lot of these pest control companies, they don't put in an investment for their guys to know what to do and how to properly treat a home. It sounds simple, but there is a lot of education to it. So I did that from 2016 to had to have been 2018.
Yeah.
And then the area was getting big enough to where we could hire a salesman here in town. And that's when I applied for that position. Okay. So I just moved from a service specialist to a salesman.
Okay.
And that was from 2018 to 2022.
So how did you, because I guarantee that more than one person applied for that sales position, right?
Yeah, outside of, like, in the company, it was just me, but other applicants did apply for it.
So why do you think that you were able to get that position over other people?
So I have sales experience. I've done door-to-door sales.
Okay.
It was before I had this job in 2016, selling pest control for a company out in Texas. And I was there early. Like most of these guys get out there in, May, June. I was there in like March. End of March.
So why were you out there so early?
Because I wanted a head start so I could beat everybody.
That's huge. That's such a good thing, though.
It is, yeah. And I knew that I knew that no one else was going to be knocking in March, outside of other competitors as well, including my team too. So I was like, if I can get out there now, start building a client base, and then getting referrals from them, and then by the time they start coming out in May and June, I'm already like making a lot of money and getting all the clients that I got to choose,
Yeah.
But I did that, and then prior to that, I was also selling insulation door to door in Oklahoma. Okay. So I've had sales experience. They just didn't have a sales position open when I first applied.
So then you went from the sales position to the area manager, right? Which is that your current
service manager?
Service manager.
That's not my current position, but service manager. I mean, just quick description of what they do is they're over the service specialists, so they help train them and make sure they're properly doing their jobs.
Okay.
And then we keep growing, and this company I'm a part of, Orkin's a big name, and they're a national company.
Okay.
But we're a franchise of Orkin, so we have that local kind of feel. The office is out of Boise.
Yeah.
And like we just purchased the whole state of Wyoming. We picked up a piece of Nevada. Okay. We have Eastern Oregon. So we're growing. And so because of that, we had a lot more salesmen, and we needed a sales manager because that position's never been created. So I applied for that and got that position.
Nice.
I started actually in January.
So how's that been going for you?
It's awesome. Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah. I haven't done any of the traveling yet to see my salesmen. I mean, I know who they are because I've worked with them for some time. But right now I'm just doing the management training to make sure that I know how to properly manage these guys.
So are you doing like a lot of stuff like remote, like with Zoom then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Teams meetings.
Okay, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
So, that's actually really cool, man.
Yeah.
Just how you've like progressed.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I love about Orkin is like, you know, I always tell people it's the best career that you thought you would never have. You know, to give a little rundown of my work history, you know, I've had anywhere, I think it was from like 12 to 15 jobs since I was in high school.
Really?
Since I was 15 years old. And that's just kind of the mindset that I always had was I can always find better, you know, something that pays better environment, better bosses,
yeah,
and whatever's better about that job, you know, I'll always jump ship. There was no loyalty when it came to what I was doing for work.
Okay.
So when I started working for these guys in 2016, I was like, I don't know, we'll give it a try. I mean, I have no loyalty to anybody, and that's what I loved about the summer jobs is just because it was only 4 or 5 months, and then you're off for the rest of the year, and then you go back out.
Yeah.
But these guys, they just treat you so well. The opportunity is there. They compensate well. They just like a career. I was just like, yeah, I can see myself doing this forever.
So are you guys hiring within Orkin in the area right now?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we need a service specialist in the Pocatello, Idaho Falls area.
All right. Hopefully, if anybody's from the Pocatello area,
yeah,
they're hiring.
Idaho Falls, Pocatello, Rexburg, American Falls. Yeah.
Okay.
Where from there?
Do you know what the starting salary is at?
19 to 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see that $22 an hour is pretty good.
And you get production bonuses as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy's like thinking over there. He's like, you know, I think it's about time.
Yeah, yeah, of course. No, but I mean, I guess I can kind of talk about my life story too, because that's where my I guess you can call it not loyalty comes from.
Yeah, let's get in the background of your life story from the time you were a kid.
Yeah, so as you know, I have a twin brother.
Yes,
Josh.
Yes.
We were born in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yep.
We were adopted when we were 4 or 5.
Okay.
And so that story's crazy because when we were growing up from the ages of, you know, newborn to 5, my mom, birth mom, she, from what I understand, now this is just from what I've heard from, you know, my adopted family and also this other family that helped raise me at that time. You know, my birth mom was involved in alcohol, drugs. It got to the point where she was selling our stuff, like our clothes. And so, we were bouncing around back and forth, and then she left my brother and I at a party one day when she was I don't know if she was in high school or dropped out, I don't know. But at this party, there was a girl that knew my mom, and she took me and my brother to her parents' house.
Okay.
And her parents found out the situation, and they basically helped raise, you know, guess you can say co-parent with my birth mom till I was about 4 or 5.
Okay.
And it got to the point to where I don't think either of them could, I don't know if it was a financial decision or if they just emotionally couldn't, you know, support us anymore. But they needed to put us up for adoption. And so this is where it kind of gets crazy. So
Take your time.
My adopted mom, she was actually going to get married to my birth mom's brother.
Oh, wow.
So he was my uncle.
Okay.
That didn't work out. It's because that didn't work out. My adopted mom became single, and she took me and my twin to Idaho because that's where her mom and dad are. Okay. And so that's how we got brought to Pocatello, where we grew up. Okay. So it's just kind of this huge, just messy story, and you know, telling this story, I don't want to make anyone, you know, sound bad, you know, through this experience that I had. But even when, you know, coming into this adopted family, my mom was single. She meets this guy, his name's Stan. When I can't remember how old I was, but he came into our life, they got married, and he officially adopted my brother and I. So I consider him my real dad. And then he and my mom, they split up after 7 years of marriage. So it was like in middle school, maybe right before high school. Yeah. And then my dad moved to Nevada, and my mom stayed here in Idaho. So every summer I'd go to Nevada, and then every school year I'd go back and stay with my mom. Okay. But living with my mom, it was a constant switch of environments. I think we moved about 15 different times, different apartments, trailers, different houses with like my cousins, my aunts, just all, the family getting together to help support each other. Yeah. So it was just bouncing back and forth, and there was no like real stability. I wouldn't say like growing up was like a bad experience. I thought that was just the
knowledge life
of living, and so that's where I kind of, if I'm thinking about it, I kind of translate that towards my job history and bouncing back and forth, because I'm always looking for better. And that's kind of how it was growing up, is we're always looking for the better part, the better house, the better people in your life. Yeah. And so that's where it led me up to my work decisions.
I think I can, relate to you in a sense of, for my history of being adopted, right? Because I was born in Kansas City, Missouri, and I was adopted when I was a baby, and my mom was basically a single mother. She had multiple different husbands throughout my life. I don't even want to guess how many. Like, I feel like as being an adult, I've always strived for like the next best thing. Yeah. And it's like I'm always continuously in business, because growing up, my mom was, paycheck to paycheck, high credit cards, like just not, I don't want to say like not living the right way, but like,
you just don't want to like make it sound like you're talking bad about anybody.
Yeah. Because I know that she struggled with things like that, but like looking back on how she, raised me, and how my, my adopted dad and things, like how he struggled financially, I've always have just, from the time I was younger, like, I don't want that for myself. I don't want that for my family. Yeah. I want better. I want a better job. I want better income. I want a better home. I want a happier home. Yeah. I want a stable relationship. I want all my kids to have a good home to come to, so.
No, I totally get that. I mean, that's exactly how I viewed my, growing up, because my mom was the same way, had multiple, different boyfriends. She did get remarried, but they split up, and they had a kid together. But I'm just like looking back, and it's not necessarily the fact of like, oh, that the way they're living isn't good. Like, that's just, whatever. But it's more of like, I can see that this probably isn't the best way to live. So this is how I'm going to restructure my life to make sure that I have, better relationships with family, and, what type of house I want, or the kind of stability that I want. Yeah. So I totally get it.
I think stability is just a huge thing just in general for kids, because I feel like you can, like, some kids, can accumulate like depression and anxieties and things like that with not knowing what's to come, when there's no stability.
Absolutely.
So like, I really think that's like a huge thing, like with me and my wife, is like thinking like, okay, like we got to be strong to work through whatever problems we have to make sure that our kids don't have the same messy life that we had.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you just get a better direction of what you want in life, and just how you can make it work. I mean, I remember when I was leaving Oklahoma City to, it was my first year knocking doors, so selling insulation. And when I left, so I was living in an apartment. I was, I don't even know where I was living, but all I know is I had a brand new car. It was a Dodge Dart. Okay. And I had $147 to my name. Okay. So I was basically working just to make a car payment and my rent. And so when I left, that was like my motivation of, if I don't do something now, like my life can be, completely different to where it is today. Yeah. And so I just got to grind it out, and, made it work, and came home with a bunch of cash at the end of that summer.
So when did you and Sarah, you and your wife get together?
In 2015, we were dating, and then 2016, we got married. It was like a year and 1 month into our relationship.
Nice.
So fairly quick, but we'll be together for about, I think, 8 years.
Dang.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah. It's been fun, and, she's very supportive with everything that I do. So, I mean, that's the thing with just like, anything that, people do, it's important to have the right significant other, because, I see guys where their wives are like, oh, why do you always have to go hunting? Why do you always have to go running? Why are you always working? Like, why can't you just stay home? And as much as, it's great to stay home with the family and be close in that aspect, it's also important to do things that you want to do.
Yeah.
And then have that support from your spouse.
And like, I mean, and my wife's super supportive of like my fitness journey and my, my personal growth. But like, I've had to like sacrifice a big chunk of my days.
Yeah.
So like, I've been waking up at like 4:15 to 4:30 for like the past 4 months.
That's good. At least I can't do that.
Like, I'll wake up super early. I'll eat a healthy breakfast. I go to the gym. I work out. I come home. I get Avery, my oldest, ready for school, and my wife wakes up usually and helps us get her out the door. But like, I've had to make these commitments and sacrifices so that I can still have my personal time.
Yeah.
To still provide the time that I need to have at home.
Right. Well, I mean, you asked me, how do I balance like running, work, and family?
Yeah.
That's exactly just what you described. It's just like finding, you almost have to plan the day in advance.
Yeah.
Of like, what's going on tomorrow? That's going to allow me to make sure that I can get my stuff done, like my work, my personal time, while still spending most of my time with the family.
Yeah.
And that's just the most important part is planning it. And so Sarah and I, she'll ask me, what my day looks like tomorrow, and I'll give her an idea of like my work schedule and my running schedule, and then we come up with a plan of how we're going to make that work.
Yeah, I think that's so important, man. And from my understanding, you and Sarah are both pretty competitive people.
Yeah, I would say yes. Sarah would tell you I'm not very competitive, but I keep it more internally.
Yeah.
Sarah's really competitive, and she expresses it.
I know.
She's aggressive, huh? But she's, her whole family just very athletic.
Yeah.
Shane, high school quarterback. I mean, went to college. Sarah, soccer player, went to college, and basketball player too. And their mom was a basketball player as well. So they just naturally have that athletic ability and that competitiveness.
Yeah, I think that's important for your daughter too, just to have you two as competitors, because it's gonna spark something within her to excel in whatever she wants to pursue in life.
Yeah, I mean, that's with kids. The only thing I worry about is just not putting too much pressure on them of doing something that you really love to do.
Yeah,
and then saying, hey, you have to do this.
Yeah.
Because it can ruin their relationship with that sport. So as much as I want Ivy to be a trail runner and get into running and, in high school and college, because I think she has already all the potential just being around the family that she's with, I'm totally just going to let it be up to her. Even now I'll ask her like, hey, do you want to go hiking? And if she says no, I'm like, okay, we won't go hiking today.
Yeah.
That's fine. We'll stay here and watch Cocomelon and whatever.
No, that's important too, man. Like, I mean, I used to push Avery to come golfing with me all the time because I'm like, I love to golf.
Yeah.
And she used to like love to go, and I think she still likes to go, but she doesn't like to go as much as I like to go.
Yeah.
So I've this last year, I think I took her out like maybe 5 times, but the year before that I took her out maybe 5 times in a week,
Yeah.
But yeah, I try not to pressure her to go out golfing with me because I know it's gonna ruin her passion and love for going out golfing with me.
Absolutely. You gotta find that perfect balance.
Is there anything else, Justin, that we can share with the viewers that is going to help them be better, be stronger, be healthier, and find passion in their life to succeed?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great question because it doesn't have to be running. That's the thing is a lot of people, when they see David Goggins or, all these other influencers, like David Goggins is a trending topic. I mean, everyone should know who he is. And so everyone knows his personality. Everyone thinks they need to be like him or they need to do the things that he does, but that's not the case. I think his overall purpose is find whatever it is that you love to do. You find your passion and then, put everything into it, that can be hunting, running, fishing, sewing. It could be just it could be work related, making money, whatever it is. But, people are just they make too many excuses. I have a lot of close friends that, I want them to get into certain activities that I do, but, they're always too busy to, to join or to do what they want to do. And I know they could because I've been there. That's the thing is out of everything, you know, it's like I'm not special. I'm not like I'm not physically strong. You know, I don't make a ton of money. Like my overall mission in life is just to, like, when it's time for me to go, that I lived the life that I wanted to live.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is just doing the thing that you love and you're passionate about, and going as hard as you can into that activity. And
as much as you can, because you will have those, I'm not going to call them distractions, but you will have those obligations such as family and work.
Yeah.
You know, that's, you know, the perfect life would be not to have a job and you get paid to do whatever you want to do.
Nothing. Yeah.
But that's just not how life is.
No. Well, I think that a lot of people are going to take a lot of the information and just, you know, stories that you have talked on the show with us. And hopefully, you know, the information that Justin gave to you guys is going to inspire you to want to be better, because at the end of the day, the only reason why I'm doing this podcast is to influence you guys, and to take stories of people that I have on here to, you know, think about your lives and, you know, think about the activities and things that you guys can do to be better, because that's what I want to do with this channel.
Yeah.
Is I want people to grow from it. I want people to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you popping on.
Yeah. Thank you.
This is oh no, what were you about to say?
No, I was just saying, yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's you know, sometimes I talk about these, especially like running, I feel like an imposter, but, but it's, no, it's great to be able to share these experiences. And, you know, I always enjoy seeing like new people get into it as well.
Yeah. Well, we will add your on the video on YouTube, in the description, so people can follow you. So definitely follow Justin Alpaugh. He's someone that I've always lived up to, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this. This is episode 3. Stay tuned for episode 4. We're going to have another influential person on in the next episode. So hopefully you guys enjoyed listening to our podcast.